Okay, it's now time to move on to the next stage of working on our Warjack Repair Shop for Iron Kingdoms at War, or Warmachine games. And as you can see, the basic structure, the foam core pieces, the 4 foam core pieces are glued together. I described how that hinging would work up here, and you can see that this is all one piece. When we slice it in now, it's like permanently part of a roof structure. I left some of these pins in just to show you basically how that works. So I just pinned this together to hold it while the glue was drying to make sure all my joints stayed nice and tight. So I'm going to take those pins out right now. Definitely reusable. Okay. One left here. Alright, so take all my pins out. The next thing I'm going to do on this building is I'm going to work on the bottom half of the facade, the bottom half of the structure. Now, in a past video when I worked on this, I made I used a styrofoam house, and I carved in some natural brickwork. This time I'm going to use a cobblestone styrene sheet. It comes in, the brand I like is Plastruct, mainly because there's a hobby store not too far from my house where I can get it. But you can see with the sheet, it comes in, let me take it out of the plastic here. Let me see if I get a little zoom in action. It comes in with these brick patterns on it. Alright, so ready to go. It's rather inexpensive. This sheet cost me, well, 2 sheets come in this package for about $10 or so. So, and with about one of the 2 sheets I used, this one's still unused, and I had enough to do the bottom half of this house, and I still have some scraps left over. So, anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to now add this brick facade, or this cobblestone styrene facade, to the bottom of this building. What I've done is I've pre-cut the 4 panels that will go around this house. Okay, so for example, here's the back panel, and I've put a little B on the back of this so I can remember what's what. Alright, that's going to fit nicely in there. This is about 3 1/4 inches up. Okay, the house. The bottom half is about 3 1/4 inches up. So that's my plan. And then I'm going to continue to take these pieces and glue them around the bottom of the house as such. And what you can see I'm going to get is a nice cobblestone texture. This looks like it's a pasted on sheet right now, or it will be, but we're going to dress this up so it will look seamless and be an integrated part of the structure before you know it. Basically, I'm going to use white glue to glue these on. Now on the front side of the structure, I've got a piece cut with a doorway, okay, as such, because for my Jack Repair Shop, I'm going to put kind of a sliding door looking thing in here as the entrance to the building where you would drive your jacks into to have them worked on. Now, a lot of different things here. You could use some corrugated cardboard to have a look like that. You could just do a solid sheet of plastic styrene and paint that up like metal. I just got lucky, and sometimes what you have to do when you think of elements for your terrain is you have to just look around and see what's on hand. An old toy, some packaging materials, an old piece of terrain that you don't want anymore. Sometimes you can salvage a lot of good stuff from that. In this case, there was some balsa planking that I had on a siege tower I made when I was 16 years old, and I'm 40 now, so obviously that was a really long time ago, back when I was in high school. I made a siege tower of this wood, and this kind of wood has kind of a natural plank, has a planking design kind of built into it. I'm going to make that my garage door, so that's why I cut the slit out here, is that this is going to go right in there and be the door. I'm going to do a metal frame around this so it looks better, but that's basically why I left that gap there, is I'm going to insert this in there in the next stage. Alright, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this cobblestone on using weld bond. Right, a white glue is going to be fine for plastic to foam core, or really paper on the outside. I'm going to put this around the bottom, and then we'll talk about the next step in just a second. Okay, it's time to discuss the next step of putting this Iron Kingdoms Warjack Repair Shop together for your Warmachine battlefield. Now, the next thing first of all I want to mention, you can see the stonework, or really the cobblestone styrene sheets, are glued on here. And we're going to need something later to cover up those edges. I've also glued on the balsa wood slat patterned garage door, if you will, to this Warmachine repair shop, or Warjack Repair Shop. You'll notice that the door protrudes a little bit more than it should. Okay, kind of sticks out, and it should look more recessed. Well, one way around that is I made a frame up for this thing. This is going to be metal eventually, but I just cut out a piece of matting board, which is kind of a heavy, thick cardboard, and I'm going to put that around the door so it has kind of a natural frame around it, and the door no longer really protrudes beyond the rest of the structure, which would look very unnatural. The other thing we're going to do for this is I just took a piece of cardboard like cereal box, and I scored it, and I also bent it, so I'm making kind of a natural looking awning, like a metal awning for this as well. When this is all painted up, it's going to look great. It's going to be metal colored. This is going to have some rivets on it towards the end, and it's going to look good in the end. Alright, so the next thing we really need to do is we need to get ready to do the second stage of the house, which is the masonry on the top. But before we can do that, we have to do some woodwork, you might say. We have to put the timbers, sorry, the wooden timbers on this house to separate the cobblestone from the masonry. So I'm going to put some, using balsa wood. You could use coffee stirrers or whatever wood is available to you. I'm going to cut some small, about 1/4 inch thick pieces of balsa wood that are going to be a timber frame, and you can see it overlaps the edge here a little bit. Okay, the reason is I want it to be flush against the other pieces that go on the sides. So when I mount these in here, basically what's going to happen is I'm going to get a nice squared corner. Alright, for that. So that's the idea there. So I'm going to do that. I've got 4 pieces pre-cut that are going to go, around the 4 sides of the structure. There goes one. Alright, so the other thing we need to do before we worry about any masonry on the top half of this house is we have to build the windows, which very similar. If you saw the video I did on how to build the Iron Kingdom's house for Warmachine, use the same system we did before. I've got some pieces of matchsticks, or little pieces of balsa wood would do fine for the window frame. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to just glue these on so that I've got kind of a good looking window for this house. Alright, so that's the idea of how that's going to work. I'm going to glue those on, and then I'm going to do one on the back. Alright, now I am not going to put any windows on the side, and that's intentional. I envision that eventually this Warjack Repair Shop could be part of a row of shops in a village or a town, and so I want them to be able to go up flush next to each other. If I build an external window structure here, that's just not gonna. I'm not gonna be able to put it flush up against another structure down the line. So I'm not gonna build anything on the side. All my external components are really gonna be on the front and the back for that reason. Right, so I want you to keep that in mind. So I'm gonna work on the frame and the awning. I'm going to glue the metal timbers that separate the cobblestone from the masonry, and I'm going to build the windows using those matchsticks on the front and back of this house, and then I'll show you that in just a second, and we'll move on to the next step.